All right, we're back with another draft profile video. Today, we're going to the offensive side of the ball, and we got a tight end, Jack Endries. So let's get right into it. This is a 6'4", 245-pound tight end that transferred from Cal after 2 seasons. He's only a 3-year junior coming out this season. That with Cal was very productive, specifically going back to 2024 in his final season. Over 600 yards receiving, 56 receptions on just 61 targets, a couple of touchdowns. And this past year with Texas, while we saw the production take a step back, the snap counts did not. They actually went up to 414 passing snaps, yet did a lot of work inline, showed some flexibility to move to the outside, and also still production-wise was in an okay spot at 33 receptions and 45 targets for 350 yards, essentially, and 3 touchdowns. But what stands out to me with Jack Endries, and you're going to see it, is his ability to block. This feels like a very well-rounded tight end. He is one of the better players that I think I've watched to this point. I'm very curious to see how high teams are on Jack Endries, because you may question some of the true upside as a separator or a mismatched piece in the passing game, but he is incredibly well-rounded because of the way that he blocks, his special teams upside value, and just how smart he is as a player and really everything that he does. So with that said, let's jump right into it. Let's start with the pass game impact first. I'm a little bit lower from just his receiving ability. I'm slightly below being above average for me, or being in a good category here, though there's still plenty to like, and he does a lot of his work against zone coverage, as we saw this past season. For me, he has a feel for working at zone coverage, extending his routes. He's got some change of pace to his route running. It opens up some level 2 and level 3 flexibility to find winds down the field and really expand his route tree a bit on more of a vertical plane. Good hip looseness, which I think allows him to kind of snap out his routes level 1, and that's a big part of this. Sitting down, sits, curls, hitches, quicks, those kind of things where you can kind of settle down into those in breakers. I think you see some real hip looseness, and I think you see this as a pass protector as well. Maintains his route pace really well as well, and you'll see this specifically when he's able to kind of work more rounded routes or like deep overs, or when it's kind of just subtle cuts to his routes, or maybe more vertical, maybe double move setups or speed outbreakers, for example. He's able to really maintain his pace at a good spot, and you'll also see this with his pad level. He doesn't tend to rise very much when he's pushing vertically down the field, which makes it all kind of feel the same, which is nice, and it adds a lot of deception to his route running as well. He's got good timing into his snap, into route cuts, level 2 and level 3. I think he's got very good consistency in terms of the depth that he runs his routes with, specifically in zone coverage when he's not getting knocked off his route. He attacks zone leverage very early. He opens up teammates. He has a very good feel for being unselfish as a route runner and allowing others to get open, and working with that kind of discipline to open up teammates and also work off of other teammates to find his separation. His release is a part that I really do like. I think there could be some lack of variety here. Maybe he could get a little bit better with his hands immediately off the line, but he has an immediate release that attacks leverage on the outside and pushes guys to the outside, opens up an inside release for him. He's got a pretty fluid crossover as well to stab outside, work back inside, and it's immediate juice off the line of scrimmage. Makes those late adjustments as talked about in zone. It's got a good feel. He understands where he's trying to open up teammates, and we've seen that kind of success, and his eye discipline carries a lot for him as a route runner in general. He shows deception because of that. He extends kind of that offhand. He used it for separation at the top. Sometimes it feels like maybe it's going to be too much and maybe a little bit too reliant on that, but the way that he gets into using that offhand is very proactive, though that can get him into trouble with flags at the next level. However, he does do it with a really strong, solid foundation, so it's very effective when he does use that offhand specifically to create separation. Now, just as true being able to separate, this is where I'm a bit lower, again, closer to average here. I think he's got adequate acceleration, maybe even better than that when working into that vertical push, instant acceleration off the ball. The big thing for me is his change of direction feels a little bit more upright in traffic. His shake is a little bit more limited. You don't feel a ton of the natural, just lateral agility and looseness. He feels a bit more high cut, especially as he's pushing vertically. I don't think he has a fantastic sink to really snap routes back to the football. He uses some quickness because he doesn't have an outstanding sink. He's better with cuts. I think he is consistently dropping his weight, but he does have a nice, consistent pace to be able to open up the seams, to be able to stretch vertically down the middle of the field. He's more fluid to me right now than overly explosive as a route runner. He's got good pad level. I just don't like how he allows defenders kind of in his body to ride him. You'll see this like against man coverage, or maybe zone underneath where he's getting bumped immediately from a wider alignment, where it feels like those guys slow him down and kind of slow down the pace of his routes. He doesn't have an easy ability to get separation and kind of keep himself clean early on separating, and that I think shows up for more of that level 1 upside. He's pretty high cut for that change of direction for level 1 separation, but he's got that single step release that has some bend to it, allows him to create some real separation separation, get skinny, get vertical, gets there in a hurry, not a lot of false movement. I just wish he had a little bit more shake underneath. His level 1 separation to me is going to be a little bit limited due to some of the lack of maybe instant quickness from stop to start and more complex routes underneath. Obviously, he can drag and run away from guys. And in zone, there's enough there. The physical route runner, he embraces the physicality of it. You'll see it in the way that he finishes as a pass catcher as well. Again, at the top of the route, he does a nice job building a strong foundation, dropping his weight a bit. That way he can deal with contact at the top of the route. I don't think he's incredibly sharp or, again, explosive when guys fall in the trail coverage against him and he gets that early step to keep them in trail. He allows recovery due to that. He does win early because of the deception that he creates and the fluidity off the ball. Now, to add to that really quick, just as a pure pass catcher, 0 drops this past season, 60% contested catch rate according to PFF. Over the shoulder discipline, he's very focused in contested situations, strong focus in traffic. He's got reactive hands that can get over his head. I don't think his body control is elite here in terms of being able to drop and kind of scoop passes or save passes, but there's enough looseness where there is some flexibility to kind of redirect to the football if it has enough time in the air. His catch to tuck process could be a bit quicker to open up run after catch a little bit more, but I think he's got good confidence in his hands. Occasionally he'll take his eyes off the ball a little bit early, and I feel like his hand placement as a pass catcher is technically gets a little bit sloppy, but that said, he's so strong through contact, shows pretty big hands, 9 5/8 inches, does finish, and again, he's got that toughness through traffic. The final point that I'll make to this is as a pass protector, probably the biggest surprise to me. Like, you trust the heck out of him as a pass protector right now. You'd feel great about leaving him in. And a lot of big shot plays that Texas was able to create because he's standing in there and he's blocking. He squares up edge rushers with accurate punches. He settles with active lateral footwork. He's got good timing for the two-handed punch. He has active redirecting hips. Can get out a little bit beyond his pads, especially like play action sets where he's kind of trying to jump into blocks and be aggressive. That can allow some second effort wins, but he does recover pretty darn well. Protects his inside shoulder with some leverage that he plays with when he's kind of taking those slides laterally outside of the pocket. Biggest problem would be at the top of the rush when he gets a little bit declared because he's trying to find and engage with contact and his hips tend to flip out on him. But that said, he's got an effective drag hand. We saw against Mississippi State. He gets a little bit skinny in his slides, but he can recover. His feet are active. He's got a good posture. He deals with contact really well. And for his hand battles, he doesn't get out over his skis. To me, his pass protection was a very big surprise. And then as a run blocker, this is where it all kind of comes together. Good knee bend on entry, flexibility for connecting to the second level. He's balanced with agile footwork when climbing to the next level. He's pretty firm on entry when you talked about being an inline blockers. Strong in the upper body, good foundation, a good two-handed punch, can enter, latch, sustain, fights to redirect his hands, squares up blocks with accuracy. We saw that against Oklahoma, getting himself inside consistently. I really like when he's trying to hinge block. He typically gets an inside hand because of his accuracy and his focus to getting to that spot. And again, he'll fight to redirect, and he has the foundation to replace his hands. And he does it very quickly and aggressively. His pacing, to me, gets a little bit aggressive, which is a problem, and I think you'll see this more out in space when his pacing gets aggressive to go find blocks in space and he kind of just walks past them, and then he doesn't give himself a shot to actually work on that block and he has to get to the next one immediately. He does find work, but it does tend to slide and pass blocks a little bit proactively or a little bit early. I like how he continues to run his feet. He seals blocks. He gets out in a hurry, hits his landmarks immediately off the line of scrimmage. He slides past to me, level 1 blocks a little bit too soon before getting to the second level or the third level out in space. And for me there, I do like how fast he gets to his spot. I mean, you think about a guy that's going to fit, combo, and then get up to the next level. He's going to do that with aggression. It's a little bit more skinny and upright than I would love, but he does it with a lot of connected quickness and hitting his landmark so fast that backside or front side of zone plays, you trust that he's going to be where he's supposed to be. Finding work downfield, loose hips to stay connected and sustain, discipline really to carry out responsibilities, timing as a blocker, allows others to hit their blocks. And I would wrap it up with, again, what he does at the line of scrimmage. Short area footwork is pretty good through the offensive line. There's a good control to it. Split zone success is outstanding. Really good angles to blocks, really tight to the line of scrimmage. He adjusts with good pacing. He has body control to combo and climb, as mentioned. He's just a little bit too skinny to me when he's finding and climbing up to blocks. On entry, he does get a pretty good base width. He's not too wide. He's not too skinny. But to me, he's a little bit too skinny when he's climbing and working upfield. And guys can seemingly catch him off balance and catch him early. And that tends to kind of knock him back and create more knockback than what you normally would see him allow. His pad level is a little bit below average in line. That's a bit of a problem too. He's not naturally super low. He's tall, so he's really got to work for that, and that can lead to some knockback opportunities at the next level, though, again, he does handle it much better than you would expect. But I like his angles. They're pretty tight. He's got good explosiveness on entry at the line of scrimmage. He's just a little bit of a catcher. He's a little bit of a catcher in line, allows guys to get in his chest a little bit there, but he's got great upper body strain when he tries to find a latch and just continue working and running his feet. He's got body control to adjust and redirect and recover from defenders if they get an edge on a second effort. He's firm at the point of attack as a puller. He's got aggressive working inside hands. I just think he has some questionable ability to actually drop his weight really well, like cut block or split zone on those. Typically, he's going to play it upright. I don't think he has outstanding flexibility to drop himself and kind of kick guys out of the play. I think that shows up a little bit as a pass catcher as well. Just a little bit of limitation there from some of that naturalness to really sink and drop himself, but he's really fast to get into phase of his blocks. And then once the ball gets in his hands, pretty good transition burst upfield. Again, if the catch and tuck was a little bit better, I think that would improve. He also isn't super elusive. You don't feel a lot of make you miss or, hey, in a phone booth, he's going to, like, you don't feel much of that. But he is going to get downhill pretty quickly. He feels like he understands his six, and there is some real toughness to keep working. Just doesn't have much make you miss to his game. So I think that, for a mismatch perspective, is going to limit him a bit. His run after catch is actually the lowest grade that I gave him, below average there. But he's got plus play strength, pass catcher, and as a run blocker. His blocking ability is in a very good spot. Some slight tweaks, but I think a lot to work with early. Receiving ability is the toughest one. It's almost good for me. The biggest problem is I don't know how much of a big-time separator he's going to be. I'm slightly above average there. His catching skills, again, doesn't drop any passes, but it doesn't feel like he's going to have a huge, wide radius as a pass catcher necessarily. His play speed is a tough one because he plays fast as a blocker, and as a receiver, he's really good with his pacing. So maybe I'm a little bit low there. I should be higher, but I like his ability to get off the ball. I think especially his value and upside is really high because he's a very smart player. His timing is great. Consistency with depth, his ability to block. I think he'd be awesome on special teams right away. So that'll be the biggest challenge, is where do you value his ability as upside as a receiving threat? And some teams are going to look at that differently versus the well-roundedness of his game. I personally have a really strong high grade on him at a 6.25. And Zach Endries is incredibly fun to watch. And I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out.